All right, welcome back to the show. We're introducing Week in Review. We've had Andy Scheckman on the show, and now we're introducing Allan Staple from the Staple Crew. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. As promised, it's Allan Staple from the Staple Crew. Allan, how are you?
Good morning, Brad. Could not be better. Life is so good. What a crazy week it's been, hasn't it? How are you?
It has been a crazy week. I'm doing really well. The conference went great. We're trying to decompress. And believe it or not, we're still like putting a bow on the last few things as we get home. I just got a pallet of stuff yesterday shipped back here from XRP Las Vegas materials. There's just, man, am I glad that it went well. That's all.
Yeah. No, it was spectacular. And,
Awesome.
somebody told me the other day that you're trying to go bigger next year. I don't know how that's possible, sir. You don't have enough life. That was an unbelievable show. And hats off to you, sir.
Hey,
yeah, it was brilliant.
Allan, thank you so much, man. And people don't know this yet, but we had a chance to sit down at XRP Las Vegas, and you and I had a great impromptu conversation. Allan, I'm so excited for that to come out. Do you have a projection like when that may come out so everybody else can check out that?
I'm going to call it this coming weekend or midweek, either like Wednesday. I'm thinking maybe Wednesday.
Okay.
But at the latest, next Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah,
so look at it over the next week or two. Look for that video to pop
That's right.
out. Super excited about that. I thought we had a remarkable conversation. That led me to ask you if you'd be interested as being a special guest on here for Week in Reviews. We're rotating people in the community through here, celebrating everybody, elevating everyone, right? And your channel really deserves a lot of attention. You have... people have sent me things like, have you heard this guy talk? And now you will talk from like on the yacht that you is it your yacht or you're working on yacht? Tell us a little bit about yourself in that regard, Allan.
No, I'm a 30-year employed captain, but it's not my boat. It's my boss's boat. But he's a younger man. I work for a young man. He's 32 and his sister's 30, and they're my boss. So I'm twice their age, which is really kind of fun. They keep me young, and that's really the biggest reason why I do the job. It's very part-time. It's only like a few days a month, but it really is one of those jobs. It's just like, pinch me. I love my job. So I couldn't do crypto full-time because of that, and it's really a good break for me. Breaks up the day, breaks up my month, and it really gets me relaxed and enjoying the boat and the process of being on the water. So incredible. What an amazing life we all have.
You're absolutely right. And you're an interesting guy because you have so many different interests. You've come from traditional finance. You are a boat captain. You're also a farmer too. Tell us a little bit about that. See, I love this where you get this wide range, from your background.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
I started off as I started bagging groceries in a grocery store. Okay, whatever. Everybody has something to start somewhere. Within 3 years, I was the manager of that store.
Wow.
This is a big chain. I was a young 25-year-old man. But I had lost my tail in some trades. And I said to myself, oh, I want to be the guy that's actually making the margin call, not the guy who's making the payment of the margin. So I thought, wow, man, it'd be really cool to be a broker. So then I studied for years, failed the Series 7 a couple of times. We won't get into that, but it's a brutal exam. And I ended up being really into it at exactly the perfect wrong time.
Oh, wow.
October of '87 was, my initiation to being a broker. And I really realized that I'm more of a people person. And back then it was really more about just dealing with old accounts and honestly, as sad as this sounds, stealing them blind. I mean, just trading. We churned and burned accounts is all we did back then. And it was really terrible. It's a whole different world now. We all get to trade our own accounts through Robinhood and other things. we're so much wiser and smarter than we ever used to be. And the house always won back then, it seemed like. But anyway, then I ended up being a yacht captain because I became a fly fishing guide up in the mountains and was a ski instructor in winter. And I ran into some people that really wanted me to help them with their sport fishing boats. Moved to Cabo San Lucas and got into boating. Next thing I knew, I was a yacht captain in Fort Lauderdale. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was 30 years ago. So,
Now, how did you get into farming? Because that's remarkable too.
farming. Well, this is something that most people don't understand about boat yachts is when you've lived your whole life on the water, and I mean, literally, we live and work on the boat. You don't
Right.
have a house. You don't live ashore. So when you live in that atmosphere with that many people in a tight space, almost all yacht captains retire on a farm or a ranch, nowhere near the ocean. And it's just because so I found this little place up in the mountains here, Central California, up by the Sequoia National Park. And perfect climate, love it. Up in the redwoods, just above us. And we started getting into farming a little bit in 2019, but 2020 really hit us. We're like, wow, wait a minute, maybe we should grow our own food. So that's what we did.
Wow.
And my wife and I, she's just an amazing lady who's a go-getter. She's an attorney and she has a successful business practice mind to her, as we both do. And she said, well, let's get into a little bit of farm. Well, the next thing you know, I'm running charity events and food bank. And it's just been a labor of love. We love it. So
It's
yeah, it's been
amazing,
fun.
and we're going to be donating a ticket to next year's fundraiser for you to XRP Las Vegas 2025. So I encourage anybody that wants to know more about your foundation, and you could tell them a little bit about it if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's called Hogs Unlimited. Okay. And really what it is it's a play on Ducks Unlimited, the way duck hunters really did so much for the duck hunting in America because they knew that if they created the habitat and they worked, they could save the population of the ducks. This is way back in the 50s and 60s. Well, now there's more ducks in North America than ever was before, thanks to creating better habitat for the rest of these things. So we kind of took it from that angle, only from Trout Unlimited. And then we went with, well, we have these rare breeds and they're going extinct. And most people don't associate domesticated breeds with going extinct, but there are many of them. So we got together with some people and thought, well, okay, if we could raise breeding pairs, we could get the breeding pairs to a small little farm, and then they could grow their own food. But it would be a win-win because it'd be this breed, which is amazing. They're lard pigs, and they're meant for the old days of growing lard because you use lard for so many different things. Soap, candles, all of it, and cooking oil. Well, as we know, the 60s, 70s told us, oh, don't eat that stuff. That's the bad stuff. You got to eat the Crisco or the margarine or something. And now we've done a 180 and figured out that those animal fats really aren't as bad as we ever thought they were. So the butters and the animal fats are really what people like to cook with. Being on yachts for 30 years, I sort of an armchair chef because I've worked with chefs for so long. So I like good product and I appreciate good meats and good cuts. When you understand that you can't get good pork in the store, it all tastes like cardboard. It's just terrible. And the pork that we raise almost looks like a steak, looks like a beef steak. It's red. It's full of, all sorts of vitamins and nutrients that you're not going to get, minerals that you're not going to get from, a Costco pork steak.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it's really been a labor of love because they're so docile. These animals have been with small farms for like 300 years, and you can just pet them and ride them or do whatever you want to do. They're so family friendly, these breeds. And it's just been a pleasure. My wife and I, we didn't even know anything about what a nonprofit was. We started that together. It's been fun. And the outreach of people who want these breeds in particular, but also people don't know anything about farming today is all of a sudden this big topic of everybody wants to get involved in farming, almost like crypto.
Oh,
So,
you're absolutely right, because they realize this moment that we're in, there's a lot of concern about government and, controlling that central bottleneck of food and water. And it really does bring us back to, can we prepare our own food? So look, this is one of the beautiful things about the XRP community, right? There is so many incredible people in this space like yourself that have such diverse backgrounds, that I absolutely love. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about being at XRP Las Vegas, right? You get time to talk to people and find out. It's like, this isn't just about crypto. You're meeting people that have they're so knowledgeable and they're so resourced in things that they're doing. It's pretty mind blowing. But let's wrap that up for right now, and let's talk about what's going on in crypto. So I'll just highlight a few things. You grab something you want to talk on, and we'll start there. So we just saw the SAB121 rule from the SEC get shot down like a clay pigeon. That was amazing. And I already see you shaking your head. So before I even go any further, let's hear you just talk about that. I know you got something already.
well, first of all, I just think it's such an amazing time to be in crypto. If you just look back when you and I started, Brad, just back 17 or whatever, if something like that would have happened, the market would have doubled in a month,
Yeah.
and it would have been the event of the year. But we have so many things and so many positive things happening almost daily now that we just take all this amazing, great news for granted. That you had all these Congress people pass it, then all the Senate pass it, okay? And then even before the Congress even voted on it, the president say, I'm going to veto that. This is that great divide, and I really believe it's generational. And I'm not a political guy at all. I don't care for either party. I mean, it's not my thing. I just, there's an old saying that I like to use is if voting was really important, they wouldn't allow you to do it. So it's one of those things, because for me, we need to change from the ground up. We don't need to change from the top down. Okay, that, like, you and I just need to live our lives without the influence of what those people think we should be doing with our lives.
Yeah,
and that's really empowering people. And crypto helps us do all that. But I'm getting sidetracked. Yes, the SAB121. I actually thought there's no way any of this. We're not that far along yet, Brad. We're just not that far along. And I couldn't believe the vote count. And then Senate was like, boom, right through. No problem. Done. And I was like, and look how bad this president's going to look if he doesn't allow that thing to go through, compared to what the previous president just said. And I thought, wow, what a week. What a week just on that point alone. So do I think it's huge? Massive. Do I think it's going to be bigger than just allowing us to know what's going on? I think it's about banking and level that we're not even understanding yet. That you and I have done the homework in the background, that we understand what's going on in the background a little bit better than the average person. But the average person's thinking, it's just one of those political bills. It's just going to go through or doesn't go through. They don't understand what the whole thing means. And for you and I, getting political support in any way is mind-blowing to me. I don't know about you, but it hit me like, look at all these Congress people and senators that know what's up, like calling him out, the SEC, among other people, calling them out on their deeds in which they have not been honest at all. They have not been forthright. They have not been supportive of innovation or what's happening. Why is it all of a sudden crypto comes along and it's the only time in the history of America that they don't believe in innovation? Like, please.
Yeah. No, it's a great. You make a great point, Allan, and I, much like you, am not a political guy. I don't subscribe to either party, right? I feel much the same way. And I always say to people, I only get involved in politics when it meets at a crossroads with my pursuits and my goals in life. And when politics gets in the way of what my pursuits and endeavors are, I have to participate. And that's where this happened to be, right, at this particular juncture. So I want to give a big shout out to the Digital Chamber and the work that they've done, because I had Perry Ann Boring on, I think, last February or January, where this first happened with the SEC, when Gary Gensler put this rule into effect without going through the proper process, because that was an issue as well. And I want to shout them out because they have been nonstop on this issue, educating the Hill and everybody in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And to speak to what you had highlighted, it is a huge victory. Even if the president is still threatening to veto the repeal of this bill, is because, you know, Senator Chuck Schumer, who is only second to the president, is actually voting to let, you know, crypto really integrate inside the financial system and repeal the SAB121, which is really what it was trying to stop from happening. So this is a massive moment for us, and I know that we still have a window to go because the president can veto this or choose to ignore it and those kinds of things. And depending on the window, it could go into law or it could go into like a pocket veto. But there's still some issues in front of us. But yesterday was absolutely a big win for crypto on Capitol Hill.
Truly was. And, you know, I need to backtrack a little bit on what you just said, because you're absolutely one of the only reasons that I even knew that Miss Fornett was even around. I mean, like, you presented her to all of us, that agency even existed. I didn't even know that they were on our side and fighting in Capitol Hill. I had no idea those people existed until I saw a couple of. Actually, somebody sent me the show that you interviewed her, and I was like, wow, look at this. But I wouldn't even have known that committee even existed. And shame on me, I probably should have. But thank you so much for bringing that to all of us, because I know it's a big reason why you did the Vegas. I know that's a big fundraiser for all of us and the sport. And look, it already paid dividends. Look what already happened with it. Look.
This is the effort, right? You know, it's like really working with the Digital Chamber, trying to help them fundraise. We were very fortunate to help them raise over $100,000 during the XRP Las Vegas conference. I'm blown away by the love and support and generosity of this community. It's not big watches and Lambos in this community, right? The people in this community are really about sense of family, getting your time back, you know, pursuing a goal you've had for a long time in your life, or being able to take care of your family. You know, it's so family oriented and grounded, this community. And I absolutely love that. And not that there's anything wrong with big watches and Lambos. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So, but coming together with the Digital Chamber and helping them fundraise, and also being able to help support the initiatives that they're helping to support on Capitol Hill that represent all of crypto. And I want to remind people too that, you know, Perry Ann Boring endorsed early on Christian Carlo's work when he had said that and wrote that amazing paper saying XRP is not a security during the court case, right? So it's pretty remarkable that they're in the fight so deeply, and they've gotten the win yesterday. And that was so big of an accomplishment for us, that I'm super excited that those wins in the sales, I'll use a boating reference for you, those wins in the sales may take us to a stablecoin bill or the FIT21 Act, which could be massive for crypto in this space. Your thoughts?
It's inevitable at this point, right? I mean, like, that was a big week. I'm so glad I'm on this week. It was such a big week because everybody now in the U.S. has been hearing, you know, Miss Warren tell us how bad everybody is in crypto. But all of a sudden, the House and the Senate, and you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute. I thought all that crypto stuff was really bad. So now Joe Sixpack is sitting at home going, well, wait a minute. The president has to veto this thing. Let me think about this. What is going on up there? Wait. I've been told all of this is bad. And then when, I don't know, you know, Paul Ryan came out, I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Paul Ryan came out and it was like, well, look at the brain on this guy. All of a sudden, this man understands what a stable coin is. And like the concept of stable coin, he nailed it. I was like, wow, I thought he was just going to use the word and just try and gain some votes from us. No, he actually knew what it meant, how it implied, what it meant to the Fed, how the Fed is going to have to either adopt this, let this thing run, or get off the pot. Because this is really important to the future of the US dollar, to the degree that they're like, we can't stop this anymore. It's sort of a naive view that I have about crypto, but I feel like they just treat it like a stepchild for the first 10 years or whatever they did. I know it's quite naive, but they, not completely that naive, but I'd like to think that to some degree this is accurate. They sort of like, well, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be a big deal until it was too big a deal. And then it was too big a deal to overcome. And I think that's really where we stand. But in particular, I think with the stablecoin, I don't think they realized the benefits to them. The benefit to the US dollar globally, you have this broken money, and now you can fix it in the eyes of everybody under the age of 20. Yeah. Hello, on your phone, every second of the day, anywhere in the world, you can actually obtain a US dollar or equivalent to a US dollar and use it anywhere you'd like. Now, I understand you and I kind of disagree a little bit on where this whole thing's going as far as like who's going to win and who's going to lose, but I'm with you. Actually, since our last interview, I've actually looked a little bit more into Tether, and I don't think it's going to do too well in the US. However, one of the things I like about I don't know how I got off into stable coins, but here we are, right?
Keep going. Don't stop. We're there.
So, like, one of my ththings about stable coins is there's going to be many, hundreds, if not thousands. I don't think there'll be as many as there are crypto coins, because that's in the millions now. But there's going to be tens of, okay, we'll put it that way. Well, maybe even at least one for every country, right? What we're going to do is adopt the ones that make sense to us. We're going to adopt the ones, that's what mankind does. We use the one that's easiest, makes the most sense, and we like. Now, what our powers that be, if you will, like to dictate to the public, oh, you can use this one, not that one. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
But the public, I think ultimately, I know they're cutting off bridges and railroads and off ramps everywhere in crypto, all up and down the space, which, again, now I'm rambling, but I love what Oklahoma just did. Holy smokes. I don't know if you saw that.
No, tell us what they did.
Oklahoma just passed state law that you can own a hardware wallet. You can mine Bitcoin, crypto, okay? You can stake crypto, and it's a non-taxable event because it's a currency in the state of Oklahoma.
Wow.
This is huge. That just passed the other day. And I was like, I'm moving to Oklahoma. What's going on over there? All of a sudden, there's an island in America, right? Yeah. And then if you look just to the north of that, right, you've got what Wisconsin just pulled off. And I don't know if you heard what they did. They bought over $300,000 or $300 million worth of Bitcoin for their state funds.
The municipal funds?
In other words, they're retirement funds.
Pension funds. Okay.
Pension funds for their civil workers.
Wow.
And you sit back and you go, well, wait a minute now, Miss Warren, I thought you told me that all those people are thieves and crooked. But now everybody who works for the state of Wisconsin actually is a Bitcoin holder. And by the way, that's just Bitcoin now because that's an ETF. That's going to go to all the rest of the coins as well. So 100%. We are talking more about it. Yeah, it's a matter of time. It already, as we know, already happened in Hong Kong that Ethereum has an ETF.
So, 100%. Right. Well, you bring up two good things: stable coins and ETFs. Mm-hmm. You can see two parts of this market starting to take shape immediately, right? So, to go to the stable coin thing, it's like, what happens to Tether, right? I mean, just saw Circle get on a plane. They're like, we're going back to the U.S.
I saw that. Yeah.
If that wasn't a flare in the sky that says, there's only one U.S. digital dollar company not operating in the U.S. today, and it's Tether now. I think somebody's thrown out the signal flare that says you better get your ass home because we're getting ready to drop the hammer, right?
That's it. Yeah, you better get it done. And there's going to be a lot of successes. Let's face facts. Ripple's is going to be one of the most successful stable coins, in my opinion.
Yes.
Just look around at the groundwork in which they've laid globally. Yeah. This is a matter of time. This isn't even and I don't think stable coins will be as national, clearly as we'd like to think. And I might be wrong about this one, but I really think the stable coin's going to really punch a big hole in the CBDC world.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, right? Because there could be, obviously the U.S. is looking heavily into doing a two-tier system, right? Like a retail digital stable coin and then a wholesale CBDC eventually on the back end. I see that. Well, I am oversimplifying the hell out of this, but there are, because after spending time with like Cristiano Carlo, it's like privacy. You can't just say we're going to put it into private sector hands, let them do it. That separates us from the state, so they won't be able to just spy on you. We know that that's not completely accurate because we've watched government manipulate and weaponize social media platforms to control narratives and to quiet and silence other sides of the argument or the points that are being made out there. So there has to be something in place that makes sure that there's a constitutional standard to right to privacy in there. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I would agree with that. However, every opportunity in the history of government, in particular in this country,
I know where you're going.
They've overstepped those bounds, and they're not giving us more rights. They're taking more rights away, and that's not why I got in crypto. I got in crypto for. I love to say this all the time on my show. Crypto is kryptonite for the tyranny.
Ooh, love that.
And that's exactly what it was designed to do, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of ideas about who created it and all the rest of it, but it is kryptonite to them in that sense that we can freely trade around the world amongst ourselves, peer to peer. And I really want that to be at least an opportunity or a choice for all of us to be able to make. I don't want to be just funneled into, oh, well, you live in America, you have to do it like this. Well, wait a minute. Crypto isn't an American thing.
Right.
It's a global thing.
That's right.
And I want to be able to trade freely with somebody in Jamaica or Zimbabwe. I don't care. I want to be able to do that between he and I, or she and I. And I want that to happen immediately. We have the technology for that. And again, why are you in between she and I? I'd like to know, and I'd like to know, other than greed and manipulation and control, what are you doing there?
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, no, I think that's
what's your reason?
Oh, Allan, that's such a fantastic point. I completely agree with you. You said something a second ago, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I lost my train of thought, but you made such a good point, and I wanted to grab it and pull that out. It'll come back to me. But yeah, you make such a fantastic point about not having that intermediary of the government or some agency in between you and the other person we're trying to transact with, right? So I totally understand that. I really do.
And it really is the wedge that they've continued to drive. Again, like I was saying a few minutes ago, after they figured out that, well, wait a minute, we shouldn't have traded, we should have got on top of this thing immediately, and they didn't. So now they're trying to wedge themselves directly in between you and I and our coins. And it's really looking obvious to anybody in crypto. But yes, I'm going to side with what you just said in some ways. Regulation does help. But let's remember, in the eyes or the words of a politician, the word regulation just stands for manipulation.
Oh, it's 100% right.
Power. The same word.
That's right. Power and control.
That's all it is.
Yep. Cristiano Carlo said the same thing too on stage at XRP Las Vegas, and now reminded me what we were talking about and what I wanted to bring up because it's so relevant. And it goes back to that conversation with Chris on stage. And, he said, basically, the more rules they put in place, it's for them to have more power and more restrictions on us. And what's interesting is that although this technology is new, what's happening is not new. And, Chris talked a lot about the expansion and contraction that happens throughout time. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Like in the early days, you had this expansion of what money and trading instruments were, seashells, deer antlers, you know what I mean? All this stuff in the early days, up to gold coins and things of that nature. And then you had the Fed come in, and then this contraction came in to say what money was, right? And these restrictions came in to tighten what money was because it was so wide depending where you were. And there was different kinds of dollars. That's where the I owe my soul to the company store came from, right? Because you worked for a coal mine that owned the company store, and they issued their own currency in ABC town. And then if you wanted to leave and move your family away, you couldn't do it because unless you transferred and got some gold and took a chance and left, because that money isn't good in the next town, right? So that's that's the expansion and contraction of the markets. And we're here again, but it's innovation that's causing the expansion of all these different forms of money that are out here now. And now government's trying to restrict what it is and close it back in so they can kind of get a hold of it. We have to make sure that as regulations are put in place to regulate open free markets, that it stays an open free market. That's the key that you're really touching on. And even more so that it doesn't get in the way of us. If we choose to self-custody, you want to self-custody, you should be able to do that. You want to interact with another party, you should be able to do that. And there should be a way to put laws and legislation in place that have protections, right? And for consumers, and because it won't always be just investor protections, have protections for everybody using this technology to where it doesn't inhibit the innovation and the freedom it can bring to all of us.
That's so well said. That's exactly it. Well, you just got history nailed right there. That's the whole Rockefeller profile to keep you, you got to spend your money in the company store and the rest of it. All of that is past. All of that is not our future. None of us want that to be our future. The old system, and I really like to call it the old system because I was really a big part of it. The old system is dying off in a sense that traditional way of making money from the top down is being flipped over because it makes so much more sense to empower or profit from the bottom up, because that's what we're doing with crypto. Because it's a great saying. I share it with people all the time, and it's one I really love. My generation, okay, all you really needed to do to be successful in my generation was go to university. And the better university you went to, the better off you were. Okay, so now, like, the next generation, Gen X or whatever, or maybe some of the older millennials, right? All they needed to do was buy the best home they could afford. Just buy the best damn home you could afford, and you'd succeed in life. You'd get to pension age, you would have a big chunk. You bought your house for $100,000 and it went to $1.5 million, and you could retire, you could pull it. It was the only thing to those generations, that's all they had to do. Now, Gen Z, it's a little more complicated, a lot more complicated. But I will tell them, not financial advice, is your opportunity is not a home anymore, and it certainly isn't university anymore, in my opinion.
That's right.
Your opportunity is buy the best coins you can get your hand on, and possibly some AI technology. But in my opinion, your opportunity is now, and your opportunity is blatantly obvious. We have the Senate and the House voting on it in our favor. This is happening. We have states adopting different rules and laws that you can own it outright. All of this is your future. And it's so important because each generation has its opportunity. And if you don't take place in that opportunity, you have to wait for the next opportunity. And God knows what that might be. Because I really am one of those people now. This is a long way. This is 10 years 20 years out, I think there's going to be a time when money is less relevant than it is today.
Yeah, I think you make
That's
such
a
a
whole
great
nother
point.
show.
It is,
Yeah.
but and we're going to have that whole other show too. But
I love it.
man, we are going to do it, no doubt about it. And you make a fantastic point about those different generations and where this generation today is. And it's so funny. When you're explaining that and you're giving your overview of that, I'm like, this is so spot on. I remember watching the .com boom, hanging out, talking with people. Yeah, did you hear about that Google? That's going to be big as shit, man. It's going to be real big. That Google, that Amazon, man, they're going crazy. My awareness was focused on my musical career, right, at that time, being young and trying to get broke into the scene. And I was doing all the right disciplines and things to make that happen, because I did, right? So I was so focused heavily on that I didn't have the awareness while I'm chatting about the successes of the internet.com winners that I'm not buying it while I'm watching it happen. Allan, what the hell?
You were busy, Brad. You were learning your craft. Come on.
Well,
Yeah,
I was,
get it.
but I mean, a little awareness.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you what a little awareness, right?
Yeah.
I think back,
Yeah.
because I practiced it, tax yourself 10% before you do anything else, that kind of thing. Invest in your life and your family, the whole bit, right? So, but, if I had just had that awareness, where we would be today. But that's what I hope that younger people listening right now, or even people that are our age that haven't taken the steps to invest, I hope that they're going to be inspired and curious and enthusiastic and want to do the work for themselves to figure out which areas in this space they feel they have the best chance to win.
It's so well said. That's exactly it. And it's up to shows like yourself and mine to share our wisdom, the mistakes we've made in the past. I've done really, really well in life like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I'm going to stay on top this time. I'm just going to make sure I get this one right. But for the young people today, they can't see the opportunities. And then they're so misguided by social media in so many different ways. But then when they come across a channel like yours, Brad, and they say, well, wait a minute, this guy resonates with me. I get it. I get what he's talking about. And then to your point earlier, that the beauty of the XRPL, in my opinion, is that neutral trading globally ability to do it right there. And when you got that in your pocket, you understand where the world is going in free trade. And people all around the world, we go to the show and we have people, what was that? That young man, brilliant young man, I got to shake his hand, 14
Amir.
or something like that.
Amir.
Awesome. I was just like, this is our future right here. There he is, standing right in front of me.
Yes.
And it's a big hats off to you and shows like yours that have promoted the knowledge that he's obtained through social media.
It's pretty amazing, and and I'm blown away every time I meet people, and it's so nice, right? Because every day I'm making videos every day, and it's 2 video monitors and a microphone, right? And a wife in the other room really doesn't want to hear any of it, and I love her for it. It's a balance for us, and it's wonderful. Yeah,
What's a song called 2 Turntables and a Microphone?
Yeah, 2 turntables and a microphone. I got 2 monitors and a microphone. Yeah, shout out to Beck.
Right, that's you.
That's me, And then when I get to go to these things and actually meet the real people that are allowing you access into their daily life, it is just overwhelmingly beautiful. It's so nice. It really fills up my spirit tank for another year until I get to see them all again. But Allan, tell people where they can find you so they can give you a follow going forward.
Well, thanks, Brad. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days.
That's right.
At The Staple Crew. You can find me there on both those sites. Or online, you can find me at thestaplecrew.com, and that's my webpage. So check me out there, or thestaplecrew.info.
No doubt.
That'll
And you
be-
should check him
Yeah.
out. I'm telling you right now, you're going to get some great video content with some excellent, just thoughts. And you have some great monologues where you'll just sit and just kind of, they remind me of like early days when I was doing some stuff, and I kind of did that. I would just speak to the camera about the stuff that I'm hearing and thinking, and I just love it. I absolutely love what you're doing. And one of the horrible things about being a professional influencer all the time and working all the time, you don't get to listen to people's content or videos as much as you'd like to. And you're definitely one of those ones that I'd love to listen to more. So it was like, you know what? Why don't we just get you on the show and then I can listen to you, right? So now you're here. So.
Thanks so much, Brad. And I'm hoping Wednesday we're going to have that video come out with you and I in Vegas. And you were so gracious with your time. You've never met a busier man than Mr. Brad Kimes in Vegas during XRP week. And he gave me we were down there 35 minutes or something, 40 minutes, Brad.
It was something. It was something like that, and we got lucky.
Yeah.
In all fairness, we got lucky, Allan, because it was on Saturday, right? And things were winding down, and I kind of knew that the next two panels were already ready to go on stage. So I was like, you know what? This is our window. If we're going to do this, we better do this right now,
Yeah. And just think what that means to a small channel like myself or anybody coming up, that Brad would take the time to sit down with me was mind-blowing. And I was just sitting there go, okay, wow, I didn't even know a week ago, I didn't even think he knew what my channel was. And then now he's sitting down and taking all that time out of his morning. And I thank you again so much, Brad.
Well, look, Allan, listen,
fun.
man, I truly am. All boats rise, man. There's no doubt about it, and you put out fantastic content. You have great insights that you're passionate about. You have a lot of wisdom and knowledge about finance and how these things may shake out. And I know what it takes to bare your soul to the world the way that you do, the way that I do, DAI and others do. It is a very learned thing, right? Like you just don't do it. It takes time to come out and kind of do those things. And you certainly do it, and you do a great job of it. And I think you should have 2 million subscribers is what I think. So we're going to do what we can to help you, and everybody else who comes through this can.
I don't want to get too busy. Bruno's here.
Hey, what's up? Oh, it's Bruno, is it?
It's Bruno, yeah.
Bruno's beautiful.
Whenever the camera's on, the dog is he's not a ham, he's the whole hog.
He's the whole
hog.
I love it.
It's the whole hog.
Well, it wouldn't be right if we didn't have the household pet on the show too.
Believe it or not, he's a celebrity on the show.
That's wonderful. I love it.
We sit on a rock over here and I shoot those monologues that you talk about. So it's really when I get my thoughts going. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed this, Brad, like whenever I plan like a monologue or I write it down or a script or something, it just never comes out right for me. I don't know, maybe I'm just that crazy guy. But when I sit down, clear my head, think about one topic, and when I sit down and turn the camera on, it just comes to me. And it comes to me in a way of like, I know you can appreciate this. It's flowing to you.
That's right.
And through you. Mm-hmm. And it's what I really always understood about great ideas I've had in my life. Like crypto, it came to me. I understood it. It was clear as a bell for me. And when I got it very quickly on my light bulb went on, and I was just like, wow, okay. And then I was afraid to do videos for the longest time. And I was like, well, why not just push play and see how they turn out? And I really am blown away by the amount of people that appreciate what you and I do. And it's such a blessing that we both have, that we can express ourselves. There's so many people have brilliant ideas. Yes, everybody I talk to at the show is just like, why didn't that guy have a show? I'm like, that guy's sharp. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do know what you mean. That's the other side of this. We meet so many incredible people that are so smart and so knowledgeable, just like yourself. Allan Staple and the Staple Crew. You can follow him. You should follow him. You're going to love the content you get. And I love that you work off of a vibration. You work off of a frequency and a vibe. You feel it's connected and it's working through you. You turn the camera on and you deliver straight to it. I used to do that. I used to do that. I mean, you know, I used to, in the early days, that was my gig, man. It's how I did it too. It took that. I had to be very focused and in tune before I could record like that. And it tells me that inside of you, you know, you're a creator more than a competitor. And that's always a good thing. And you're also an artist. So you have that artist side to you where it has to feel right. You know, everything has to feel right before you do it, right? That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good bones you got there, man. That's good bones. Allan Staple.
Good soul.
Yeah, good soul, man. Allan Staple, give him a follow. And Allan, you'll be back on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Love it, Brad. Anytime you need me, I'm there for you.
Hey, man, we're going to have you here. This is Week in Review right here on Dig Perspectives. Make sure you give us a follow, hit that like and subscribe, and we'll catch all of you on the next one. Allan, don't go nowhere.